Wanna talk? So let's talk. Yeah. Talk. You wanna talk? You gotta talk, you need to talk. News talk.
I talk, you talk to Solomon. I talk, you talk to Solomon. Yeah, let's talk to Solomon. Talk to Solomon.
You gotta talk, you wanna talk.
Good evening and welcome. It's Talk to Solomon time. My name is Stan Solomon. I'm the host. My co-host,
Chief Steve.
former police chief Steve Davis, lawman extraordinaire, and our guest of honor, Major General Jerry Curry, U.S. Army retired, a man who knows right from wrong, good from bad, and Obama from dog duty, but there's not a lot of difference. General, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Stan. How are you doing?
I am doing just fine. I just wanted to start you off in a good mood, and I want to ask you, I spent a lot of time in my life, I haven't lived as long as you, but I've been around the block at least 700,000 times, learning about a guy named Nikola Tesla. And Tesla was an incredible scientist who changed the world in many ways and was murdered by our own government because of his knowledge and the fear that he might give that knowledge to one of our enemies. In fact, he left a meeting with Roosevelt and never made it home. They killed him on the way home. Don't know if you know all that, but one of his inventions was the rail gun. Have you heard of that, General?
Rail gun.
The rail gun is a long, call it a grooved instrument that uses magnetism. And as the magnet increases the propulsion, and in a series of increases, they can expel a projectile at supersonic speeds. In fact, in one experiment, are you ready for this? He took a BB. You know what a BB is? It's the same size as Obama's brain. It's made of metal. He put a BB on a railgun that was 15 feet long. And that BB went completely through a Sherman tank and left a small hole on one side and a hole the size of a cannonball on the other, a BB. Now, the United States Navy is now, and the reason I brought this up, the United States Navy now wants to develop railguns that will expel projectiles at 5,600 miles an hour. That's about as fast as the Chief's brain works. And it would not take out missiles, it would take out anything, including entire continents if they didn't slow it down. Have you heard about that?
No, I really haven't. I've heard the name, but I don't know anything about a rail gun.
All right, well, I just explained to you the basic background. A railgun uses electromagnetic pulse to project something. And by taking it through a series of propulsions through the pulse, you can expel a projectile, but you have to have a long rail. In other words, it wouldn't be the size of a standard gun where it is the explosive that is detonated that projects, expels the projectile and powers it. This would take a gun that would be the length of perhaps a carrier. But you aim that at someone and there is no place to hide. There's no mountain you can get into. There's no hardened target you can get behind. That projectile will go through anything on this earth. So I'm excited. I think it's about time we catch up with the 1940s. Don't you?
I think it's a great idea. Let's do it.
All right. Well, I would like to put Ahmadinejad on that rail gun, have him swallow the BB, and then see if he can go through a Sherman tank. What do you think?
I would think that would be an excellent way to go about proving it.
Chief?
I think it's wonderful, but I want to comment that, like the General and I are both former Army members, so we don't know much about the Navy.
But
So
the fact is, a railgun would apply to any branch of the service.
But in the General's defense,
Okay.
he probably doesn't know much about Navy guns, but I do think this will be a great idea if it works, and if the machine and the supplies are purchased and produced by Americans.
Oh, I'm sure that they'll go to China and ask them to produce it and then wonder why all the Chinese ships will have it before our ships. But that's just a thought. 5,600 miles per hour. Do you have any idea, either of you, how that would compare to, let's say, a 16-inch, the largest projectiles we have in the Navy, that, you know, our ordnance, like for one of the big guns, they're 16 inches. Is that right, General?
Yeah, that is the largest.
Okay. I think those things go at something under 1,500 miles per hour. And then, of course, they slow down. I mean, they leave at that speed, but then they slow down because of friction and the like, and so that limits your range. These things, if they're done correctly, it'll slow down when it changes time zones 3 or 4 times.
I'm still looking for the ray gun. I want to see the ray guns in operation like they had in the science fiction shows when I was a kid.
Well, they actually have those. They call them lasers, and they work quite well. All right.
So why aren't we using lasers instead of these big bullet guns?
Well, but you don't need big bullets. When you go 5,600 miles an hour, you could literally put a pellet on there and take out a battleship. All right, General, let me ask you about what's happening with the Muslim Brotherhood. You've read about that. They're now saying, the latest is that the Muslim Brotherhood is saying that the attack by Palestinians on Egyptian border guards as they were trying to sneak into Egypt from Palestine, where 16 Egyptian border guards were killed, that's Israel's fault.
I don't know how you do the math on that and end up with Israel. Israel doesn't have anything to do with it at all.
Well, Israel actually, when the attack took place, with their monitoring, they killed the Palestinians. They went after them and wiped them out and tried to protect more Egyptians from being attacked. But it doesn't make any difference. Egypt is now under the control of the Muslim Brotherhood. And I think it's not if, but only when the Egyptian military will be co-opted and used to launch an attack on Israel. Your thoughts?
All of the Middle East is under the threat of being controlled by the Muslim Brotherhood. And those fellows are going to take over any country they can, including Syria, that's coming up right now. So there's nothing about this that's new or strange or different. These folks have always wanted to take over and run countries and to keep them within their interpretation of Islam. And so that's all these rascals are doing. They're just simply out there doing their very, very best to cause all the problems they can and to control.
Chief?
Well, the way I got it figured, the Islamists believe that if the Jews in Israel would have moved out, just packed their bags and moved out, then the Palestinians could have moved into Jerusalem. Perhaps they wouldn't have attacked Israel, and then that's why it's the Jews' fault.
Oh, I think that it goes further. I think that here's the reality. The Muslim faith is a faith created by and based on a guy named Muhammad, the Prophet Muhammad.
Supposed prophet.
Yeah, well, a legend.
The alleged prophet.
A legend in his own mind. At any rate, this prophet, this Muhammad, was a pedophile. He married a 9-year-old. He killed directly hundreds. His followers killed hundreds of thousands. And their religion's most cherished and holy relics are his sword, with blood still on it, and a rock allegedly on which he went into outer space and went to the mothership and was told by Allah what to do. Now, we've had plenty of people that say that there are plenty of Muslims who are nice people, and I accept that. It's irrelevant. The religion is what the religion is. The religion says you can lie, cheat, steal, rob, and murder, and there's no problem unless it's another Muslim. But if the other Muslim is an infidel and has not followed the religion correctly, then you can do the same thing to them. And from the day that religion was created up to, through, and including this morning, they kill. they rape, they rob, they lie, they destroy, and the Jews have very seldom even been the issue. When you have Muslims and Hindus fighting to the death and killing hundreds of thousands and millions, what the hell has that got to do with Jews, General?
Doesn't have anything to do with them, and you're absolutely right. These folks are determined to kill others, to kill themselves, to kill anybody who really doesn't go along with whatever they think it's their vision of what Islam ought to be. These people are dangerous, they're evil, and I think that if you go down this road with them, you're going to end up in the trash can.
Now, the difference between a Muslim and a liberal is what, Chief?
Spelling?
Oh, okay. I knew it was something substantial. All right.
I had heard that. I'm glad you explained that to me.
Well, it's a very complex formula. It's called one moron and one moron equals two morons. Now, you can put anything after the word moron that you want. New intelligence reveals, surprisingly, shockingly, that Iran is close to having a nuclear weapon, much closer than Hillary, Barack O'Braindead, or any of the others said. And in fact, we're now talking months and not years. If that is the case, and I assume it is the case because it came from a good source, Israel, what, if anything, should we do? What, if anything, should Israel do? And what, if anything, should anyone else do, General?
Well, the first thing is, clearly, there is nothing we're going to do. That is, unless we help Iran and go in on their side against the Jews. But our president is not going to go down the road in terms of helping the Jews, no matter how much they're threatened by Iran and no matter how much they're threatened by nuclear weapon development. He's just not going to go there. So we're not going to do anything, not with this president. As far as what should the Jews do, I don't think they've ever had a choice. They're going to have to delay somehow or off track this program of development of nuclear weapons. They've got to do that, and they've got to do it whether they can do it by totally disrupting the development, or whether they just simply can delay the development down the road for some period of time. But they're going to have to do it on their own, and I would hope that they've already laid out all the plans necessary and have all the equipment necessary to do it.
Have you ever heard of the Samson option, General?
The which?
Samson. S-A-M-S-O-N, like in the Bible.
Oh, Samson, no.
Well, the Samson option, which is well known among Israelis and supporters of Israel, in the biblical story, Samson was blinded. He was in chains.
Yeah.
He had lost some of his strength, although he got it back as his hair grew back, according to the legend and the Bible. And he asked to be put between the two pillars that held up the Philistine, which was the precursor of the Palestinian, major temple, chief temple, big temple, where all the leaders and many of the followers of the Philistines gather to do what they do. Nothing good, by the way. And he stood between those two pillars, and he, as they say in Hollywood, brought the house down. But
Yeah.
in bringing the house down, he perished. Now, the Samson option in Israel is that if they see there is no surviving possible, if the entire Arab world were to rise up and come against them, they have the Samson option, which would take out about 400 million people. It would take out the entire Middle East. They would perish, but there'd be nobody left to dance on their graves. Now, it's a scary thought. It's a horrible thought. But if I were in Israel, I'd pull the damn trigger. Your thoughts?
Well, I've never heard it expressed that way, but you're talking about the same thing that Ahmadinejad has talked about. Ahmadinejad says if the Jews want to use their nuclear weapons, then Ahmadinejad feels Iran should use theirs first. And he says, I don't care if every single person living in Iran is killed. It's okay with me and it's okay with Allah provided we kill every Jew in the Middle East.
Chief?
Well, I think that we should go back to a previous story, and the question was, what should we do as the United States? And we should build those rail guns and then shoot everything that's involved with Iran's nuclear weapons program and everybody that's involved with that weapons program, and then get the heck out of there and see if they try it again. If they do it again, send more rail guns in, shoot them again, and just keep it up until they stop.
You can't beat that. The saying, that's as good as it gets.
Well, you know, my option or my thought is apply the golden rule. Do unto others as they would do unto you, but do it first, do it often, and make damn sure they don't forget it. And I think that if we have to take out everything in Iran that makes noise or that moves, we do so. Now, whoever we is. By the way, you say under this president we'll do nothing. This guy's not going to be president in 4 months, in my humble opinion. Or what is it? August, September, October, November, in 5 months. We'll be done with him. And so the question becomes, will Iran develop and or deploy and or try something prior to that time? The Israelis, with some help from their friends, have used the Stuxnet and some other software applications. They say now that in Iran, they don't keep any of their nuclear facilities online for fear they'll be invaded. So they do everything internally without any possibility of anything coming in through quote unquote the internet. But they got it in before using flash drives. I don't know what Israel has up its sleeve. You know, I pray they have everything and anything and all things, and they're able to do this without any innocent people dying. I don't want any innocent Iranians dying. I don't want any innocent anyone else dying. I mean, these Sikh people that were killed, I don't know anyone who's a Sikh, but I feel the pain of every mother, every father, and every grandmother, grandfather, sister, brother, husband, wife. That's universal. That's for all of God's children. But I still believe that if someone says they're going to come and kill me and mine, then it's not an if. It's an obligation. I need to hunt them out and kill them before they have a chance to kill me and mine. Now, Steve,
no,
you have to stand up in court?
My court it will, every day.
General, what do you think?
I think you're right on target. I don't think Israel has an option. You know, Iran's not giving them an option. The option is you die or die. And I think if that being the case, then the Israelis have to think out in terms of what should we be doing that will save as many lives as is possible. And I agree with you, by the way. I think that we want to save innocent Iranian lives as well as Jewish lives, Palestinian lives, as far as that goes. But in the final analysis, we cannot ask the Jews to stand by while their entire race is destroyed.
And as you know, I used to say, as a former fetus, I object to abortion. As a living Jew, I object to extermination. And let me assure any whacked out weirdo, whether they are Muslim or Democrat, what's the difference?
Spelling.
Don't come to my house and expect a warm reception unless you think hot lead is a warm reception. In which case, yes, you'll get a warm reception. All right, let me ask General, I sent this story to you, I don't know if you had a chance to review it. There's a picture, and I'm no fan of CNN and Christine Armanpour. You know, none. I just don't like them. But she's done a story on the traditional practice, primarily but not exclusively in Muslim countries, of child brides, of 25, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70-year-olds marrying 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds. And I don't mean in name only. I mean marrying them and you can't call it rape, I guess, if they're married under their laws, but of taking these children and using them up. You see the pictures, and it's, I mean, I have granddaughters. If a 40-year-old man, it became known to you that he was intending to quote-unquote marry and then consummate the marriage with a 7-year-old, what would you feel you would be justified in doing?
Prison. That's where he belongs, and that's where they ought to keep him. for the rest of his life, as far as I'm concerned. There has to be some moral leadership among these groups of people. There has to be some. I don't see any anywhere. I hear people talk about moderates. They talk about we must not say something that would offend all of them. The answer is garbage. Let them be offended. You should not be sleeping, having sexual intercourse with a 6-year-old girl or whatever the age is on that. Shouldn't happen, and if it does, there ought to be a really bad penalty, and there ought to be one that can be adopted and applied immediately.
I have an idea. How about if we imprison their body parts, but not in the same prison? We can have one prison for certain appendages, one prison for other appendages, one prison for whatever's left, and we can have the guards be crocodiles that are hungry. Your thoughts?
I think we should use them as target practice for rail guns. That's my opinion. But this story, though, I watched a story in the videos here. This is really, really terrible because these children are slaves, is what they are. And one of the stories I saw earlier showed a young girl. She was 14, and she got married. She was married at 12. She thought she was being taken to a party by her mother. The next thing, she's married. She has 2 children now. She's 14 years old. Still has no idea what's happened to her. It's total human slavery is what it is.
You know, I heard an interesting analysis, and this was by a Muslim, an Arab who's not a Muslim, who left that faith, who has spent 50 years writing about it. He was on this program last week, and he said to Muslims, women are genitalia, the entire woman. That's why they cover them from head to foot, just like you'd wear underwear. For normal people, they consider the entire woman as genitalia, and their explanation is a man will lose control if he sees a woman, and therefore it's the woman's fault if she allows herself to be seen. Therefore, the woman cannot be anywhere where a man might see her other than her own father, who then they're probably weird too, but without being covered from head to foot. And you know, that struck me because I never thought of it that way. How does that grab you, General?
It grabs me. I never thought of it that way either. Listen, that's bad stuff. I just cannot understand how a moral, decent, honorable human being, male, female, could put up with this sort of stuff for any length of time, like more than 1/10 of a second.
The fact is, for these young girls, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12-year-olds, 13, they have no world, no reference, no contacts, no support, no options. They literally, I mean, if you go back to times of slavery, and this is slavery, and I'm always, I can't say amused because there's nothing amusing about slavery. But you have the holier-than-thou types like Barack Obama and Michelle Big Butt. Did I say that wrong? I'm sorry. And Michelle, who talk about how horrible slavery was and how all whites are guilty and will forever be guilty, and yet they're buddy-buddy with people who do this, who enslave people, who enslave girls, enslave women, literally trade them around and use them for target practice when they feel like it, and they don't say a word.
No, they think this is absolutely fine, but you have to understand our president, where he comes from. And where he comes from is he has no slavery in his past. His people were not slaves. They weren't on the plantations in the South or down in the Caribbean. His people were in Kenya and other places in Africa, but his people were never, like mine, for example, who actually worked on plantations. Never happened. He hadn't got a clue as to what slavery is all about. He was born in, what was it, 61, something like that. He was born before the civil rights movement could make its move. And in 1965, the Civil Rights Act was passed, and he was about 3 or 4 years old. So he's never been a victim of discrimination. That is, he would say, I have all the time, but not a chance. He hadn't got a clue as to what discrimination means. He doesn't know what it means to be an American Negro or black or whatever you want to call it about us. and this guy is pretending that he's offended. The answer is garbage. He hadn't got any reason to be offended.
Well, you know, we don't know where Obama was born. We don't know who his real father was. We don't know whether or not he was an American citizen when he was born or an American citizen after he went to Pakistan. But somehow they figured out that he was related to the first slave in America. I think it's hysterical, their selective ability. I mean, we can't find out anything about Obama's grades in school. We can't find 25 million illegals, but we can find that Obama was related to the first slave in America. And by the way, that slave probably came courtesy of Kenya, where they sold their people into slavery to the Muslim Arabs.
Yeah, and you know, all of the above. It just doesn't make any sense to me at all. I'm sorry, I can't go very far down that road, but it just doesn't make any sense to me that we're even talking about this guy's background and history, or what he would like us to believe was his history. He doesn't have a history with America.
Well said. We'll be right back. We'll take a break and be back with Major General Jerry Curry and Chief Steve Davis. Do you like being healthy? I do. In fact, this product, which I've been taking for years now, is absolutely the answer. Now, you may not believe it, but I'm actually 21, plus tax, of course. This product has 146 different healthful nutrients in it, and it's liquid, so it's bioavailable. It tastes great, and it's sugar-free. 1 ounce of Sonic Life each day will help you to maintain and enhance your health. It's the kind of a gift, well, that you'll thank your mom for, your husband for, your wife for, your kids for. Whoever you give it to, they're going to say thank you. And you are going to enjoy the benefits of having all the vitamins, all the minerals, all the nutrients your body needs in one very reasonably priced product. Just go to cpnlive.com and everything's right there. You'll be able to read all the ingredients. The price is right there, a flat price delivered to your door anywhere in the United States of America. Sonic Life is a gift, a great gift. Give it to yourself. I do. Hey, my name is Stan Solomon, and you know if I have something to say, I'll say it. And I'll only tell you the truth because I'm a Republican, not a Democrat. Democrats always lie. Republicans only lie half the time. I don't lie at all. This is the Fuel Mule. It's an extraordinary product that was developed by a friend of mine, an engineer, and it increases the fuel mileage on your vehicle. If you have a combustion engine, this will increase your mileage by 10 to 20%. It bolts around your fuel line. You can install it yourself or have your mechanic do it. It is an extraordinary item, and it flat works. I've been using it for more than 10 years. It's increased my mileage on every vehicle I put it on, and by the way, it will last forever. You can get rid of your vehicle, just take it off and put on the next one. Go to cpnlive.com. You'll have more information there. You can order it right there. We absolutely guarantee you'll be satisfied. The Fuel Mule. It's a way to kick down your cost of fuel and kick up your mileage. Don't you love the name? I thought of it. The Fuel Mule. I like to eat. Do you like to eat? We all do. And usually we run to the grocery store, we run to the convenience store, or we have something in the fridge. But power's been out in parts of this country in the last few weeks. We don't know what's going to come down the pike economically. Smart people are putting in food. Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves is a line of foods that you can put away that will last for a very long time. You know, they say eat what you store and store what you eat. This is great tasting stuff, healthy for you, a full line. You go to our website, cpnlive.com, and click on the button for Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves, and see all the different things we have. This is good tasting food. It's reasonably priced. It will last. And it's worth its weight in gold if a problem arises. I know you don't think there's going to be anything that goes wrong. Actually, you do. This is smart. This is smart insurance. This is smart preparation. This is smart thinking. You have kids. You have a spouse. You have parents. You have dependents. You have an appetite. All those things can be addressed by a frugal but smart investment in Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves. Try them out. You will be tickled to death with the taste of them. You know what? In many cases, people start to eat this and they think, heck, this tastes better and costs less than what you're going to the grocery store to buy. CPNLive.com. Check it out.